Hello everyone! In this short video I'll cover how to render out videos using Premiere Pro. We will focus on the basic export settings within the video and the audio tab, but I'll also explain a bit about the presets and the format that we'll be choosing. So first of all, as soon as you click export, in Premiere, it's the shortcut Control and M or Command and M if you're on a Mac. You'll get this dialog box here. It'll show you a preview of your video and then of course all the export settings to the right. Under the format settings over here, we have a lot of different formats. The format that we'll be using is the H.264 or an MPEG-4. There is also the option to use an MPEG-5 or an H.265. However, not all devices are compatible with that codec yet. So we will use the H.264. Regarding the presets, there are a lot of different presets. I tend to take my basis in the match source high bitrate, because if I do that, it'll automatically take all the settings from my input file or my input settings, so my sequence settings and video settings, and actually use them as the basis of our render settings. So you can see what my output will be down here, and you can see what the source will be here. This will update every time you make a change. We want to export video and we want to export audio. If you click this blue label here, you can choose where you want to save your file. So currently I'm saving to my tutorials folder and I am choosing the file name cubic_brain.mpeg4. The only tabs that I'll be covering today will be the video and the audio tab, because these are the two most important fields that you have to change. Okay, so first we have the size of the video itself, so width and height. If you want to change that, you can uncheck this little checkbox here and then you can change your settings. Right now I'm working in full HD and I want to keep it that way. My frame rate is 25 frames per second. I can also change that if I want, and there are a lot of frame rate settings to choose from. However, I will stick with 25 for now because that is what my input is. Field order, you can choose progressive or interlaced. Aspect ratio, you can change the aspect of the pixels themselves, but this is web video. We will be working with 1.0, so square pixels. We can also choose a TV standard, but it'll automatically just change to NTC or PAL depending on our frame rate. The profile we would like to change, so going from main to high. This will basically give us higher quality. You can always hover your mouse over one of these labels and it'll show you the settings. The level setting will decide how much data you can actually put into your file, or how fast your frame rate can be and how big your bitrate can be. We can choose render at maximum depth, but that will also increase our render time. So if we go further down the list here, we have our bitrate settings. Bitrate encoding, we can choose between constant bitrate or variable bitrate, and then either 1 or 2 passes. I haven't been able to see the big difference between 1 and 2 passes. Of course, it will increase your render time if you choose 2 passes. I will stick with 1 for now. Then we have our target and our maximum bitrate settings. These will of course define the quality of the video, but they will also define the size of the video file at the end. If you upload to something like YouTube or Facebook, they will re-render or transcode your video afterwards as well, so that all your settings will be changed. So in this case, I like to actually amp up my bitrate a bit. So in this case, I will say 12 and 13. So it'll try to hit a target of 12 megabits per second, but it is a variable bitrate, which means that it can go as high as 13, but it can always go below. We won't cover keyframe distance right now, but it basically means how many keyframes the video or the codec will save, so that it doesn't have to make as many interpolation frames, or it has to make more interpolation frames. But I will cover that in a later video. Okay, so that's our video settings. If we go to audio, we can use advanced audio codec, which for this is great. We could also go Dolby Digital or MPEG, but AAC works great. Again, we can choose the AAC version. AAC basic just works fine. We can choose the sample rate, just go for 48 kilohertz. The channel, of course, we could go mono. Stereo is the most common one, but we could also go surround, so 5.1. We want our audio quality to be high, of course, so we'll set this to high. The bitrate, again, decides the quality, but it also increases the size of the file at the end. I tend to go with the maximum and then let the system where I upload this decide what its maximum bitrate should be. So these are our settings for video and audio. Next thing is to check the render maximum quality. It will take a bit extra time for the video to render, but it'll also give you a bit of extra quality. You can choose to import it in your project afterwards. You can set some time codes, or you can use previews that you've previously created, but we won't do that now. So now we have two options. We can either queue the file, so put it into the Adobe Media Encoder render queue, or we can click export directly. Export, however, will lock Premiere Pro for the duration of the render time. So this was my quick overview of the Premiere Pro render settings. See you next time.